Alright, so players are upset with MonsterVerse again. What's new? But what's going on recently is players are complaining that the game allegedly won't be ready for its release this Friday, that Call Me Bob, the creator of Royal High, has apparently joined the game. It was being rude about it, and that apparently players are not getting the game passes that they paid for. And we're going to address all this today because there's a lot of misinformation and stuff being spread that isn't truthful, and I want to try to clear up any confusion or miscommunications that maybe people saw on the internet and do my best to clarify things. Keep in mind that all the usernames in this video are censored for a reason. I do that in all my videos, but for some reason there's still people that out themselves in the comments, which if you're doing something rude in the video and I talk about it with your username censored and then you comment, like, babe, whatever comes next, that's your fault. I don't know what you want from me. Like, I'm doing my best to, even though these are public comments, I try to, limit the potential for harm to come from me reading them. And so when you out yourselves in the comments, it's kind of like, why did I spend all that time censoring this stuff? But anyways, what I'm going to start off with today is this tweet that was made by an account on Twitter. Now, a lot of people call this account a troll account. I don't know if it's legit, a troll, I don't know. I think it's obviously someone who wants to get views, and that clearly worked because this tweet got 24,000 views. And their tweet reads, "Things we saw in MonsterVerse. Unfinished buildings, amazing graphics and dress up, no gameplay, and 4 masculine hairs." And later in replies, this person was saying they got early access to the game from a developer and that this is their picture from early access. Now, I am honest, I'm not 100% sure if that is true or not. I would beg to speculate that that probably isn't true, primarily because of this person's account. Like, they aren't necessarily like an influencer, I wouldn't say. They're more so like a troll account is the way I perceive it. And on top of that, they put out a tweet like today saying that they had been blocked by MonsterVerse. I don't know. It's hard to tell with accounts like this whether stuff is legit or not. It's just very difficult. But regardless, I would err on the side that this probably isn't correct. So I'm not exactly sure where the screenshot then originated from or what happened or if another friend sent it to them, who knows. But it basically shows all these avatars saying MonsterVerse tanked, which maybe I'm not hip, maybe I don't understand like the new lingo. I don't exactly know what this means. I'm assuming it's probably something negative, like, oh, the game's bad, but you never know. Maybe it's something nice. Let me know in the comment section. But if you look at the characters, you can see that one on the far right has a title called Siren Benefactor, which is something we saw in the title video where I went over some updates to MonsterVerse. And if you look underneath the text, it reads, "Call Me Bob." And a lot of people saw this and were like, oh my goodness, this must be Call Me Bob. This must be her. And why is she saying negative things about the game? And they took that and they ran with it on Twitter. Absolutely ran with it. And there's so many posts about this. And I went ahead and I joined the game because you guys can join the game currently. And it has like a little Q&A thing. You can't actually play the game, but you can join it. And I went ahead and I looked, and when I joined, I got this badge right here. This is a screenshot from my account. Ignore my Arsenal badges. I love Arsenal. But there is this badge here that I got that says the end is near. So the wait for the game is coming to an end. And I got that badge as soon as I joined. And so when I took a look and I checked, I saw that Call Me Bob on her profile doesn't have that badge. And typically badges sort by what you got most recently. Although these all look like really old badges, so I'm not quite sure. But from what I can see and based on what I'm going off, and also just it doesn't make sense for her to say something negative about this game, I am going to err on the side that that is not a real screenshot and that it's somebody else who used a title to make it look like that. And if you look at the screenshot, the original one, you can see that the text over all their usernames is different. The text on her username has a white filling with a black outline, and this one beside her has a black outline in like a gray filling. It looks different. Maybe that's just my eyes being bad, I don't know. But I definitely do think this was some sort of manipulation of the screenshot or of the usernames in the game. So for anybody saying that it was Call Me Bob and that she's trashing on MonsterVerse, I don't think that's correct. Now, underneath this post, there was obviously a lot of conversation of people complaining about what this person had to say, like every good Twitter comment section. And this person wrote, "Me when I'm a R word," which that's a no-no word, babe. Can't say that. "And expected a unreleased game that's still in beta to be completely finished." And the writer, or the person who wrote the post, responds, "There's 4 days until release. Why haven't they tested the finished product then?" Which, I'm gonna be honest, if a game was releasing the game to like a select few people to like try it out, I would assume they probably wouldn't have the most secret, super amazing features available to those people because some of it has to be a surprise when the game comes out. So I'm not necessarily saying like the whole game is made and ready to go, but I would err on the side that they probably just didn't provide everything to this one first wave of people that they have available, and they're probably still just doing finishing touches on stuff. And also, people just don't seem to understand what beta means. Beta means that something is still in progress. It is still being worked on. And typically, beta is a paid feature. You have to pay for it. And the fact that MonsterVerze is opening a public and free beta goes to show that they really do have the community's best interest at mind. I think it's a very generous thing to do. So the fact that people are still complaining is insane to me. Now, there's more comments, obviously. This person said, so what exactly you were expecting in unfinished building of the game? This person responds, girl, there's 4 days. And this other person says it's a beta version, which again, heavy emphasis on it's beta. This person leaves a comment saying it's in beta. I also don't get why you're so critical over a Roblox game. When you get off the screen, this really doesn't matter. Oh, did I mention it's in beta? Which I agree. This person is speaking facts in the sense that, like, this person is being pretty harsh. But I get this comment as well under a lot of my videos, my MonsterVerze videos, my Royal High videos, of people being like, Pommy, why are you talking about this game? And there was like a whole Twitter thread about me on Twitter. Don't search my username on Twitter. And it was like people saying like, this girl's never gonna get influencer in Royal High. She's never gonna be on the influencer program. Babe. Someone has to tell you this, but that's not my goal. First things first, on Roblox in general, to be in the star creator or star whatever you call it program, they don't like people who do commentary. Roblox don't like that. They don't like that. So I was chopped from the start. Like, I was never getting to the star program from the start. And I knew that going into this, that I was not going to get into it because Roblox, as we learned over the past couple months, doesn't have a particular fancy for people who speak their mind and talk about the platform in some not so happy lights. And, you know, I don't want to sit here and be like a corporate robot and constantly glaze a game. And, you know, with the whole Royal High situation, there was issues with, you know, influencers not feeling like that they could speak out about it because Call Me Haley was ostracized for talking about issues with the game and her badge was removed. And you can even see that with Dress to Impress. Like, I'm gonna make a video about this. I've just been doing some research, but there's some items that have some pretty strong evidence to show that they were stolen by other creators out of the game, and Dress to Impress has basically just not addressed that and just kind of switched the items out without really saying anything. And there's basically no Dress to Impress influencers talking about it because they don't want to have beef with Dress to Impress, which I think is like really unfortunate because you should be able to speak your mind without fear of being removed from a program. I think that's really toxic. And I'm not saying that Dress to Impress is creating that environment, but certain other Roblox games have set the precedent that you can't be critical, and that if you are critical, you're inherently mean or bad, and I just don't agree with that. And it's like, I've been approached by other games to be an influencer for their game, and like this one game, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but it was like someone who opened a ticket in my server, and they immediately started off with, like, it was kind of like just like the vibe, do you know who I am? And they were telling me about like how famous they are and that there's some famous person. I'm like, that's cool. Nice. Congratulations, like, I don't know. And my channel wasn't, it's not big now, but it had like maybe 10,000 subscribers at the time. And I was getting a decent amount of views. So they reached out and they're like, hey, and they were talking about who they were and, you know, the stuff that they've done. I'm like, that's cool. And then they immediately were like, you know, I think it'd be really helpful for your channel if you made a video about this thing that I'm doing. And it was just like very bizarre because it was like presented in a way that they were doing me a favor by allowing me to talk about their thing. Honestly, it left me with a bad taste in my mouth. But they then invited me to this influencer server so I could take a look at this stuff, and I took a look and I'm like, yeah, this is really interesting, like, cool. And I was looking at some of the stuff they've been working on, and to be fair, it's a really cool game. Like, props to them, it's a very cool game. And then I started looking at the channels, and I just felt like the way that some stuff was worded it just didn't align with what I was wanting, and it was pretty obvious that they were looking for a advertisement where it was really positive and there wasn't a ton of room for negative feedback. And I'm not going to sit here and be completely negative, but I don't want to be put in a position where I feel like I'm forced to say certain things because I don't want to be fake and I don't want to lie. And I was just like, in my ticket, I'm like, yeah, like, thanks so much for like sharing, like, that's so cool. And then I closed the ticket. Well, I guess I didn't make a video about it, so they kicked me from the server. Which I like it. Okay, I understand. You know, that if I'm not gonna do what you want, fine. But like, there was like no conversation. I just like logged onto my Discord. I'm like, oh, I'm done. I looked for it. I'm like, oh, it's not here. Because it was cool to see the updates. But at the end of the day, I'm not meant to be some like broken record where I'm just like regurgitating paid or unpaid advertisements. In this sense, they didn't want to pay anybody. Their payment was through like, I guess, in-game items and stuff like that because it was like a new project, which I understand. But I feel like it's kind of weird to reach out to people and to bug them to advertise your game without offering direct compensation, which I'm sure some people are happy with pixelated items. That's great. And I do advertisements for other games that I just find on my own. I think they're really cool. But it's just a whole other weird level to like go into somebody's server and then like ask for advertisements indirectly by like putting on this facade that it's like a good thing for me. Like they're doing me a favor by allowing me to talk about it when I could have just talked about it if I wanted to. The whole thing was just very weird, and that is like the main cornerstone as to why I will never want to be an influencer for any game. I'm sure developers are awesome and people are very talented and they're amazing, but I don't want to be put in a position where I feel like I have to say something or risk my position in a server or in a game or my title. Like, no thanks. I'd rather be honest about my opinions, and if I like your game, I'll talk about it. If I don't, I probably talk about it too. Like, we already know that. And so I just think it's just like a slippery slope and a difficult position for a lot of people. Now, this comment under that same post reads, "Y'all too mean to new creators who are generally trying to make a better game out of the bland, cash grab tycoon game demographic that has taken over Roblox. Y'all the reason devs stopped trying." Which I agree with this. And I also want to add, not to pull the race card, but I do feel like because this developer team has been very open about being people of color, not in this Twitter thread and not by this creator that or like the thread that I'm reading here, completely unrelated, but there's been a lot of stuff on Twitter where people are very quick to pull like racist remarks and to say racist things about the developers just because of the color of their skin, which I think is incredibly toxic and just like, what is wrong with you? There's a lot of people who are complaining that the vampires in the game have darker skin and how that's not, quote, realistic, which are vampires realistic to begin with? I know there's like a whole cultural thing behind it. People, there's folklore and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, vampires aren't real. So how can you say it's not realistic for something that doesn't even exist? It's up to creative interpretation, and again, these developers are people of color. I think it's really weird to like expect them just to make Eurocentric perceptions of what a vampire should look like. Very bizarre to me. But I definitely do think that people use that as like a cornerstone for hating on the game, which I think is really toxic and obviously really unfortunate. And that's why a lot of games don't put in the effort into being inclusive and listening to the community, because communities can get very toxic very quickly. This person wrote, "It's a beta. Of course, not everything will be there," which correct. This guy is speaking facts. And this person adds, "I thought I heard they were going to update every week slowly or something. Wait, maybe I remember wrong." Which I'm gonna be honest, the way people type on Twitter, not just this person, but like it's always so confusing and it makes my brain like lag. It's like very confusing. But yeah, the game did talk about doing updates every week, and I believe they said their first update was going to be November 2nd. You never know if that might get pushed back, so don't hate me if that doesn't happen. Don't hate the dev team either. They're doing a lot, okay? They got a lot on their plate. Now, the final thing we're going to go over is people are claiming that, I guess when the game got taken down, they didn't get their game passes, or the game passes were deleted, or honestly, I don't even know, and I don't think half the people talking about this even know what they're talking about, because the stuff is so confusing, and the way they're wording this is very difficult to follow. I found this tweet, which was like the one that I thought was like the easiest to understand, and it reads, "Mind you, they are telling people not to buy game passes, but put them on sale, which is a form of advertisement, and have been actually pushing their game passes on people. They're gonna get scammed." And it's something on here where they quote tweeted it. I guess it's an old tweet where they quote tweeted it and said, it all looks beautiful, and no offense, but where it was the gameplay, the closest thing was showing the PvP animations, in which didn't show any interactions with other player or NPC. We didn't even get to see you." So I guess there's like this rhetoric going on that people saying the game isn't done, and then that is being paired with people saying that the game passes won't work. And I saw this somewhere, I swear, but the dev team had mentioned that certain game passes won't be working right away. With the incentive to buy it early is that it's going to be discounted. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I'm scammed because I bought something, it's not going to work." It will work eventually, and I feel like that's been like pretty clearly communicated. Like the fact that I remember that off the top of my head tells me it's been like regurgitated 1,000 times on their Discord server. And the other thing too is people are saying that when the game was taken down, their game passes were deleted or something. If that was the case, you get a refund. The way Roblox works is that as soon as an item is deleted, you get a refund for it. So check your Roblox messages, you would have gotten a refund, or if you purchased the game pass, didn't get a refund, there's issues. The Discord server for this game is very responsive. They have a very good ticket system. Just submit a ticket and ask a question. People spreading the rumors that the game passes don't work and that it's a scam and all this and that, I don't really think is fair. There might be bugs with stuff, but I don't think it's the developer's fault, and they obviously aren't inherently trying to scam people. Why would they put so much effort into making a game just to scam people out of like 250 Robux game passes? Like, there's Adopt Me scammers that make more money than that. Like, it just doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? And the other thing too is like, just people just seem to have a lack of understanding that some game passes won't work because certain sections aren't open yet, but that doesn't mean they won't work forever. Like, they won't not work forever, I guess is the way to word that. And that's why they're discounted at the beginning, to incentivize people to purchase them. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, they're money hungry, that's why they have them on sale." I don't know, maybe I'm delusional, but typically when a game opens and they launch, they want to make some money because they've spent so many months working for basically free to produce this game, and they need some sort of payback. Like, on top of that, a lot of games will outsource work and pay other people to do small things like graphics, or they'll pay people to do scripting if they can't figure it out. Stuff like that, and outsourcing, which means hiring other people to work on your game, really speeds up the development process because it takes less work from the actual like main developers and kind of offsets that onto other people who work for the team. And that's why games like Royal High have a ton of different people who work on them, whether it be through the support teams or 3D modelers and stuff like that. If it was all just Barbie doing all the updates and doing all the support and stuff like that, you guys might not see an update till like 2030. Okay, like there's a need for outsourcing, and I don't know if that's their intention, but I do think that by generating some income they would have the opportunity to potentially outsource if that's something they wanted to do. And I can't demonize them for wanting to make money. I don't think that's toxic, and I also think it's very generous to be giving a discount on game passes because a lot of games wouldn't do that. So anyways, with all that in mind, there's obviously a lot of misinformation going on about MonsterVerse, and I honestly just think it's because it's a popular topic right now. People want to get a quick click, they want to get money, they want to get views, they want to get followers. And accounts, in my opinion, like this one, they will purposefully post stuff that I don't necessarily think is inherently harmful, but it's, it has little Easter eggs in it that make people question it, make people do a double take, make people comment, and that's what it is. It's just interaction farming. It's not like a super equal thing to do, but it's important to be mindful that when you see stuff on Twitter, to be mindful of what accounts they're posting it and what is their intention. When I view content, I always try to think like, what is this creator's intention with posting this? What are they gaining from this? Like, what is the motive behind this? I really do try to like analyze that in my head, and I think that's a very valuable and important thing for you guys to do as well. But regardless, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you think people are being unfair towards MonsterVerse? Do you understand that it's beta? What do you think should be included in the beta? And with that being said, let me know how excited you guys are for the release this Friday. I know I'm super excited to play this game, and I hope you guys will play it too. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!